Test. Test. Okay.
We're going to call to order the City Council meeting for Monday, December 18th, 2023. Please
Stand and join us for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, ma'am, roll call.
Tim Petrie.
Here.
Bonnie Jalonis. Here.
Scott Steckmeister.
Here.
Adam Husky.
Here.
Jeff Delkey.
Here.
Tracy Coach.
Here.
Bill Leclerc.
Here.
Darla Leclerc.
Here.
Everybody's in.
Room and present, so we can skip over number 4. We're going to move on to number 5, which is a public hearing. We have 2 of those. We will start with public hearing A. It is an ordinance of rezoning for the property at 2521 Jackson Street from B1 business to B2 business, submitted by the applicants and owners Marty and Kelly Pushik, All Seasons Outdoor Power and Marine. The recommended action is a motion to approve the zoning change request as recommended by the Plan Commission. We will open this up to a public hearing, but first we'll get just a little bit of background from Greg.
Or any questions that come up during the hearing or from City Council. As indicated, this business property on Jackson Street is currently zoned B1 business. The request is to rezone to B2. My understanding is ultimately the owners would like to be pursuing truck and trailer rental business, perhaps some other activities. The ones I just mentioned, truck and trailer rentals, are conditional uses in the B2. They're not uses that are permitted, nor conditional uses in B1. So that, with that as background, the Plan Commission does recommend the rezoning, and if those plans I just described proceed, I expect we'll see the business back with a conditional use permit application to come to Plan Commission and then ultimately to Council. But tonight it's on the rezoning from B1 to B2.
All right, so we will open up the public hearing. We will take 3 calls on the public hearing. Anyone wishing to solely speak on this topic, we invite you up to the podium, my right, your left. All we ask is you state your name and address for the record, and opening up call number 1.
Susan Kemp. My address is 3618 Monroe Street with ownership at 2600 Jackson Street. I think from a neighborhood perspective, this just creates yet another eyesore on that property. The neighborhood has been disappearing lately. We had the huge Riverside addition not too many years ago, and this property now already has storage out in the grass. I'm guessing that that's where maybe U-Haul trucks or whatever would also be stored. And I don't think that what was once a cute little neighborhood needs any more business like that sitting out there.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak on the first call of the public hearing? Okay, we're going to close call number 1 and open up call number 2. Closing call number 2 and opening up the third and final call on this. All right, seeing no one, we will close the public hearing and we're going to bring it back to City Council. Looking for a motion to approve the ordinance of rezoning the property at 2521 Jackson Street from B1 to B2 as recommended by the Plan Commission. Anyone wishing to make a motion? Thank you, Bill. Seconded by Scott. All right, council discussion.
I do have a question.
Go ahead.
She raised a really good point about there being more equipment around. I'm just wondering, is there going to be a structure or shelter built to house this equipment and might make it a little bit tidier?
Okay, the indication from the owners is if you want, Kelly, if you want to just step up to the mic, that way people at home can hear you as well. Thank you.
So not in the immediate plans. We wouldn't have anything planned like a structure.
Okay, and then as far as what you're going to be renting out, Is it going to be a lot more equipment that's going to be on your property or just a couple of pieces?
A
or-
couple pieces kind of decided by the conditional use permit. I'm sure they're going to restrict, they're not going to let us have 50 trucks and trailers on the lot there. So it'll all be conducive with the lot size.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Sure.
Tracy?
And to that, we're voting on a zoning change, not a conditional use permit.
To that point, and I expect Elizabeth is going to speak to that, appropriate conditions, reasonable conditions can be attached to the CU permit, whether that might be screening, whether it might be a limitation by area on the number of, I'll call it vehicles that
Right.
could be parked. As to outdoor storage right now, I honestly don't know what that consists of. I don't know if you can speak to what you folks might currently have.
So right
Store
now,
outside.
it's whatever we're working on. It might be boats, lawnmowers, things like that, things that are currently, kind of in the rotation of what Marty will be repairing or fixing.
And again, in the context of the CU application, that perhaps could be addressed with some fence screened area. I'm not sitting here trying to do the design for you, but those are things that could be addressed going forward.
And with all due respect to any of the neighbors in that neighborhood, of course, this is a business. And sometimes you find that kind of stuff out and about in parking lots, and you're gonna find that stuff hanging around. And the operations of their business is they fix and sell small engines. So as they fix stuff, it's gonna be out, and there's gonna be a constant change, almost like a car lot. It's like a smaller version of a car lot. And obviously, we welcome business. We want business. It's already zoned business. So it's not as if we're taking a residential lot and moving it over to business. That's not what we're doing. It's already an established business here. Any other council discussion? Yes.
I just am curious now. Okay, I just want to understand this. If they start to put things in the yard and so forth, you're saying that they should have a fence or like a
I
screen?
think there are already some provisions. I'm getting out over my skis here, but in the zoning code.
Elizabeth, do you want to speak to that, please?
And by the way, you probably noted, but there is an aerial map showing the location in your packets.
Again, to everyone, I just want to remind you that this is just a zoning change, as Tracy pointed out, that the conditions that everyone would like to add to the conditional use application, those can be discussed with the planning commission, then brought back. So outdoor storage does exist already at this property for their current operations. And it was discussed during during the plan commission meeting that there was a limited amount of space for their current operations as well. And the expansion for this operation, if they come back with a conditional use, would be taken into consideration for how to mitigate any kind of peripheral negative impact on the surrounding properties, and how to either look at landscaping or other kind of visual barriers to minimize that. Okay?
Anything else? See none, this is a roll call vote. Amanda?
Bonnie Shimalunas,
Aye.
Scott Steckmeister.
Aye.
Adam Mahusky,
Aye.
Jeff Dilke, Tracy Coach,
Aye.
Bill Leclerc,
Aye.
Darla Leclerc,
Aye.
Tim Petrie.
All right, thank you for that.
We will go on to our second public hearing under B. It is an ordinance amending zoning ordinance section 10-1-15G4B6 to extend front yard garden pilot program through 2024. The recommended action is a motion to waive reading and adopt the ordinance. Greg?
Just a quick recap, council's been through this before. Our current zoning code as it reads does not address produce gardens in front yard areas. So last year, earlier this year, 2023, the council authorized a pilot program for 2023 that allowed up to 23 properties to apply for and get permits, I guess is the right term, for gardens within a front yard area with certain limitations on the amount of lot coverage and what have you. Per earlier direction of city council this fall, the direction was for staff to come back with an ordinance amendment extending the pilot program through 2024. So that's what you've got here. We probably then would revisit the resolution. There was an accompanying resolution, and this would be for a pilot program, continuing a pilot program that was put in effect in 2023 and to expire not later than December 31, 2024. That correction that it would expire at the end of 2024 is in a revised copy of the ordinance that was distributed tonight because it was a typo in what went out with the agenda. And again, like last year's pilot program, the last sentence there says that participation by a property in the pilot program shall not create any vested right to continue such new gardens beyond the end of 2024. The idea being it's still a pilot program. The city council could decide not to move forward with it. And this essentially is to prohibit someone from staking a claim and saying, I put a front yard garden in during the pilot program. So this would amend the zoning code yet again to extend the pilot program by a year.
Okay, we will open up the public hearing once again. Anyone wishing to speak solely on this topic, please step up to the podium, my right, your left. State your name and address for the record, and we will have 3 calls on this. Opening up call number 1 of the public hearing. Closing call 1 and opening up call number 2.
I have a written input from a,
We'll do that during council discussion because they're not here.
okay.
Closing call number 2 and opening up the 3rd and final call of the public hearing. All right, seeing none, we will close the public hearing and bring it back to council. Darla.
I got an email from a resident who couldn't make it this evening. I also got a text from some people who are residents who participated this past season who were going to come tonight, and they both have COVID. But they are in favor of extending this for another year. The email from this other resident, I wanted to reach out to you to see if front yard gardens will be allowed in 2024. I'm hoping to participate in 2024. As this last year, our yard was tore up due to construction. I need to stress how important it is in today's world to be able to grow your own fresh fruits and vegetables. The commercialized produce is changing drastically by engineering. Not only that, the pesticides used to grow them are becoming a problem. I feel it is our right to be able to grow our own vegetables where we want on our property, within reason. Within the last 6 years, this is from a realtor here in town. She says, I sold 2 properties here in Two Rivers where they had no backyard. Their corner lots and their full sun area was actually their front yard. One family decided to sell their house and move due to this as they wanted a large garden. Thank you for putting in your time and effort to make things happen. We are also, the city here is also kind of invested with Shay and Andre's bill. And that is still kind of stalled right now. They got so far, and then it's going to have to come back in front of the assembly. So we're already getting kudos from the state, saying that basically because we're willing to try something, and if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. There's a lot of good things being said about it, and I just wanted to put that out. The people are interested. People have told me they considered it for this last year, but they were strapped on the time by the time we were able to promote it. One thing that I'm working on is working with getting grants so that people who want to participate would be able to get money in order to build their raised bed. So there's a lot of buy-in, and also the greenhouses in the area are already involved. Another year, I think that's really going to show us if this is going to work or not.
Okay. Anybody else on council? See none, this is a roll call vote. Amanda.
Scott Steckmeister?
Oh, we didn't make a motion? Oh, let's make a motion on that one then.
I'll make the motion then.
Thank you, Scott. Seconded by Tim. All right. Any council discussion?
Yes.
Bonnie?
I still feel like either you have front yards or you don't have front yards. I don't like all the rules. That's why I'll vote no.
Okay, anybody else? See none? Amanda, roll call.
Scott Steckmeister.
Aye.
Adam Mohusky.
Aye.
Jeff Delkey.
Aye.
Tracy Coach.
Aye.
Bill Leclerc.
Aye.
Darla Leclerc.
Aye.
Tim Petrie.
Aye.
Bonnie Shimalunas.
No.
All right, thank you very much for that. Moving on to number 6, input from the public. Anyone wishing to address the council on anything that's on this agenda, something they'd like to see in a future agenda, please step up to the podium, my right to your left, and state your name and address for the record. Input from the public.
Hello, my name is Jim Bob Scoot. I live at 1800 Jefferson Street, apartment number 206 here in Two Rivers. I was wondering if the Maritime Metro Transit doesn't run all the way up to Two Rivers High School. And I was wondering if the city could try to get some money to try to have the Maritime Metro Transit run all the way up to the high school, because I know there are a lot of freshmen and people that aren't age 16 that can't drive themselves up to the high school. It would make it more convenient for younger population, for people who don't drive, that are part of athletics and could actually go to school at Two Rivers High School. They rely on their low income, so they can't rely on family and friends to get them to the high school. It could be a lot more convenient for them to get up to the high school if the Maritime Metro Transit was able to get up there.
Okay, I think we can reach out to that. Greg, is that something that your office can handle?
It is, yeah, understanding that essentially whatever the Two Rivers circuit is, it has to pretty much turn within an hour to make the connection at Manitowoc or at the transfer point back to the rest of it. I know we've discussed that before and how you might have to alter the route to make that work, but we can certainly reach out and communicate on that with you. Yeah.
It would be much appreciated. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Jim. Anybody else? Input from the public? All right, seeing none, we will move on to number 8, which is council reports from boards, commissions, and committees. Or actually, no, council
Number 7.
communications, sorry. Letters and other communications from citizens that anyone would like to share. Tracy.
I've had a half a dozen, 7, people congratulate the city on the event they had this past weekend. And I had one person say, thank you for supporting the library.
Thank you for what?
Passing the budget so that.
Anybody else? Scott.
I just, same thing as Tracy. I got some people just telling me how much they appreciated the event this past weekend. So I know Lisa had a lot to do with it, Parks and Rec, anyone that was involved with it, thank you.
Anybody else? Jeff?
Well, getting signatures, I got to talk with a lot of people, so I got a bunch, so you have to bear with me.
Got it.
I was talking to somebody, we were sitting down talking, and they said earlier on this year, it was quite a while ago, they asked them, I had asked about the LLC from the Confluence, if we ever did a deep dive into it, and they asked the same question. They said, did we ever look into that any further? You know, who all the players were. I mean, all the players, not just the ones up front.
Right. Well, our development agreement identifies that at the time we entered into it earlier this year, the sole member was Mr. Golden, who you've met with, but it does require disclosure as other members are formally added to it. So I can't tell you who those other investors, other members of the LLC are right now, but that would be a requirement before any disbursement of the city funds or anything like that. Now, of course, Mr. Golden was at the November work session, and I am planning on bringing back at the first meeting in January the amended development agreement with the date changes he had asked about. But that's the best answer I could give you right now.
Okay.
Can't tell you who the other potential investors are, but it does require disclosure in the development agreement the council approved.
Yep, thanks. And I just got this message just a little bit ago. Somebody had just messaged me and said, thank you for getting it back on Spectrum again. And everything as of right now, they said is coming through perfect.
Really? Really? That's news to us because we were emailing back and forth.
That's why I just got the
Okay.
email. I thought I better
Okay.
let you guys know.
Okay, because
So you-
earlier today it was just like a static image that says coming soon, City of Two Rivers.
Yeah.
Huh. Okay. Well,
But it's working.
The thing, it's working somewhere. It's not working here. So, yeah, that's been frustrating. I think maybe will take as long to pay their bill as they have taken to
Right.
activate the service. Kind of.
Then I was sitting down talking to another person and they said they wanted to know why a vehicle can't be parked in the front, in a yard for more than 24 hours if it's not registered to the landowner. I'm assuming, and I should ask this question, that they're talking like if you were to go off on your grass and park next to your garage or something with somebody else's vehicle. I don't know if somebody had gotten a fine or.
I think it's more, there are some other factors in play. Parking vehicles on the front lawn, except on a paved drive area,
It's
is
never allowed.
prohibited.
Mhm.
I think it's prohibited, I'm going from memory, in the street side yard, if you're on a corner. Backyard or interior side, I don't think there's a restriction. Now, whether the property owner owns the vehicle or not, it has to be licensed and roadworthy if it's parked outside. So it needs current plates and,
This was apparently somebody that did not own the vehicle. Somebody was visiting for like a week or two.
okay. And vehicle was, it was just a matter of where it was parked.
Yeah.
I mean, I
'cause
assume it had
apparently
plates
It
and-
was not
Huh.
on the driveway and they weren't,
Okay.
So it was parked in the grass of their
but it
front
was
lawn?
parked in their yard, yes.
Well, that's prohibited. Whether it belongs to you or not, yeah, you can't
That's
park your
what I
car in the
thought,
front
but
yard.
isn't there a
You have to be in the
time of year,
driveway.
like in the winter when you
There,
can?
I believe you can contact the police department and get special permission if you've got a tight situation. Honestly, we, as you know, we haven't enforced the winter parking ban yet this year. So if it was a recent violation, there's no reason not to be parked on the street. But it's rare, but Chief, you want to speak to that? No, probably not this specific instance, which we'd be happy to look into, Jeff, if you want to off camera share specifics with staff. Yeah.
You don't have the property. Sorry, it just came through. But if you have that unique circumstance with a property, yes, you could get a terrace permit, which the officer to go out and verify that property has no other place to park, and then you'd be able to park there with a permit.
And that's on the terrace typically, between the sidewalk and curb?
Pretty much
versus
any of that
front
grass
yard?
area that you're talking about, if they have no other area to park. And that's allowed during the winter time.
Okay.
Because again, but in this situation, like Greg had mentioned, currently we have that ban suspended, so you would have off-street parking available.
Right, so now it should be a moot point until we do get snow.
Yes, and all the other points were correct. Adam mentioned correctly that you do have to have it on pavement, and it's also correct that it does have to be registered no matter whose vehicle it is.
Then I had another gentleman ask me, does the hotel on the drive ever get inspected? The rundown one? And how often?
I think the chief may have some familiarity with that matter as well. If you want to speak to it, Ben.
First off, the health department has an inspection for them. As far as an inspection that we would have, no, not typically. We don't do inspections of hotels as a police department. We do, however, if there is a chronic nuisance, we may have an abatement plan where that may be enforced.
I don't think that they were asking about the police department. I thought they meant as the city as a whole. If we had Brent have to come in and inspect plumbing, whatever.
I don't believe so. Again, because the county provides health department services for any of the municipalities within the county. I think they do some fairly routine inspections of lodging facilities.
Yeah, there's quite a bit of limitations to the hotel inspection, actually. The fire department, for instance, also does inspections of the fire code stuff, but that does not pertain to each individual room, for instance. It's more of that common area to make sure that they abide to that. And the health department has quite a few restrictions too, I've learned in the recent months in some of my investigations.
Okay, I'll let them know. These kind of go hand in hand a little bit, I guess. Does the city have anyone in charge of social media? I mean, strictly taking care of Facebook, Twitter, what it may be?
Tourism area, our tourism person, that's vacant right now, would take care of it. Community development is overseeing that in the absence of a person there. We don't have a social media czar per se, but it's basically between the city manager's office, community development, tourism, and the library. Yeah. Those are the folks at least that have access to Facebook, Twitter. I don't touch Twitter. Our office deals with Facebook and other things for aged people like me. Was that a question on content or technical, or the technology and management of it?
Well, it was all kind of rolled in with the whole thing because I might as well ask the next question too, because they wanted to know then also why it sure seems like City Hall dismisses everything that is said on social media, but yet we do promote a lot of stuff on social media. You know, like, if there's a bunch of comments out there, it seems like they kind of get dismissed.
Well,
I mean, I don't, because I'll put on there now as if you guys just contact me and I'll bring it up, but.
Well, quite honestly, how many social media sites, Facebook, let's say, with the city? I just don't think that's realistic. How many would you need to monitor and respond to?
Okay, now there's
We-
a bunch.
We have what's called email. We have the ability for people to direct message the city via Facebook Messenger, and we respond to those regularly. Quite honestly, unless we were directed otherwise to wade into the fray every time somebody is good or, pro or con, expressing their opinion on various social media sites in the community, you better be talking about multiple staff members doing that, because it'd be
Right.
like chasing, I don't know. I can't think. of the
And
right-
sometimes it spirals pretty quick. I know
Oh, yeah.
a couple times that I've commented back on stuff, and all of a sudden, before you know it, it all of a sudden turns into a whole different topic,
It could
and it
be-
gets out of
I'll
control.
probably regret saying this. We could be chasing our tails or getting some
Yeah.
work done. And we
If you're
could be
not
spending
properly
day
tagged,
after day,
you're never
hour
gonna
after
see it.
hour chasing our tails. There are more, I'll call it traditional means of communication. If your leaves haven't been picked up, if you got a building code question, I've seen those on social media. We still have email, we still have telephones where you can deal directly, and maybe 1,000 people don't need the answer to the question. So with all respect, that'd be my best answer.
Let's see. Oh, I was talking to a business, well, not a business owner, well, they own business now in Manitowoc, but they wanted to know why it is so difficult to get anything done in business, or business-wise in Two Rivers, to, like, if they wanted to build something or start a new business, it was so difficult, they went to Manitowoc.
I
the
think we
red
need a
tape
few
just
more
said it's terrible.
specifics on that one, Jeff. That sounds like a pretty just broadside statement. Yep. So I don't know.
I'm trying,
I mean,
all I do is
It's kind
shoot the
of,
messenger.
yeah, no, I'm just saying it's coming from the premise that we're lousy to work with by the sound. And I guess any of us would really need some specifics in order to respond to that.
Well,
Maybe it's a
it was
perception.
from permits to everything. It was like, it took forever to get anything. It's permits and sections, they said it was everything from start to finish. It just took so much time they never even finished.
I don't know what to say to that broad of a statement.
I know who the person is. I'll get a hold of them and I'll get more detail. and
Yeah,
I'll
I mean,
talk to you.
yeah, or
We certainly want to address that with anyone that may be having that problem, and make sure we're addressing it with staff if that is a problem where they're having difficulty getting permits or anything like that, because that's not something that we want to be known for, nor do I think that is the common practice of what we do here in Two Rivers. But I'm sure there's people out there that have had bad experiences. I mean, if you go to Facebook, you can find someone that's had a bad experience anywhere. But we will certainly nip that in the butt if that is a problem that we're having. So yeah, if you got more specifics, let Greg know, and then we'll dive into that a little bit deeper.
And this was the oddest question that I've ever had asked me. No, don't get signatures. I was talking to somebody when I was out, and they wanted to know that they had heard it through the grapevine that there was a riverboat casino coming and they didn't know when. Is there something we missed?
I don't know when either or if.
Okay.
No. I think that one
All right.
kind of came out of the air.
I'll always ask the question. So.
Yep.
I didn't hear that one.
Yep.
But
I told you, that was the oddest one I've
yeah.
ever heard.
I don't think
I
that's
think there's some
happening. though.
tribal entities in Green Bay and Milwaukee that would have a real interest in another gambling enterprise. It'd be in the headlines if that was happening. But no, there has been,
Yeah, I don't think that's gonna happen. I don't
to
think
my
they'd allow that
knowledge,
to
any
happen.
contact or any proposal. But it's,
Not a horrible idea, but
it's
still, I didn't hear it, but,
fun to talk about anyway.
right? Okay, that's all I got.
Anybody else? Scott?
One more thing, I can confirm that Charter is working for some more people out there. My in-laws are watching right now, so
Wonderful.
it's working, so.
Yes,
People are gonna be happy about it.
yes.
Hi, Mom, hi, Dad.
As we keep reminding Charter, the folks that you all hear from about where the city council members are their subscribers. The rest, other people are watching a live stream or have cut the cable. It's Charter's own subscribers. So we're glad, and council approved that investment of about $28,000 to bring our public access channel back on the air. So that's great. That's great.
Bill, did you have your hand up earlier? No? Okay. Anybody? Okay, perfect. Anybody else? Bonnie?
I think we all got a message from somebody concerned about the storage units. I think it's by 15th near the river. Is that correct? What? Yeah, that one. Well, I'm not going to assume that everything somebody says is, I like to hear both sides of the story. So if we're voting on that tonight, my opinion, I'd like to wait because I would like to find out both sides of the story.
Yeah. Tonight, the only request in front of council tonight is to set the public hearing
Okay,
on the conditional use permit. You have the minutes, Plan Commission recommended against approval, but tonight would just be for setting a public hearing
okay.
at the second meeting, I believe the second meeting in January. Yep.
Anybody else? All right, I had a couple. I think Greg's gonna touch on one tonight, I should say, in the city manager's report. I got quite a few complaints on the rise in taxes. Again, a lot of that, pretty much the majority of that is going back to the school district that went up 17%. That is not something that comes back to council. That is something that is voted on by the school district and the referendum that was on the ballot, I believe, last spring, which is the reason for the 17% hike. It is not something that we're putting a bunch of raises or buying extraordinary things. It's not to do with city government. It's back onto the school district. Also had someone contact me on garbage sticker fee. They prefer us to go away from the sticker fee and just put it on our bills. So that was one person. And then I also got contacted about the storage units as well. All I got. On to 8, council reports from boards, commissions, and committees. Anyone have anything they'd like to report on? Darla?
Surprise, surprise, right?
No, I wasn't.
All right, for Two Rivers Main Street, Sweet Street Business Host Sign Up. Okay, they are going to be bringing Sweet Street back in 2024. Last year, there were 100 people who participated, and in 2024, we hope to grow it to 150 participants. And basically, Sweet Street took the place of the Spring Wine Walk. We have the Fall Wine Walk, and in the spring, we wanted to do something that was a little bit more family friendly. So it was it worked out really well for this year, and but this is for businesses if you want to sign up and be a participant. Banner art, that will be coming back again this coming summer, but we want to put it out there right now that we do have a call to artists. Because over the winter is a perfect time to be doing your artwork. If you have any questions, get in touch with Jason over at the Main Street office. He can give you the particulars. One of the things that's coming up, and also for that, we're looking for sponsors, so that way we can shine a light on your businesses as well. The Great Trivia Contest is coming up. It's on March 8th. Doors open at 6. So start getting your groups together, come up with a really awesome theme and dress up, because that's part of the fun. We're looking for people to send in photos. of different events that they've been at so that we could start disseminating those and using them for promotional purposes. So anyone who's been to any of our events, the car show, Brian Lee, Ethnic Fest, anything like that, please send us, what you would like to share, and we could start using that. And
Are you looking for solely Main Street events or events within the city?
it could be events throughout the city. There's so much bleed over between the city and Main Street, and we kind of help each other. So, and the bulk of the events that happen downtown are Main Street, but like this past weekend, that was a city type thing. But
Okay.
with a
Well, I
little
was just
bit of
looking
help
at like
from-
concerts and up.
Yeah, but peripherally, Main Street was involved with this past weekend. We have a totally different audience than the city does, so we can start going down that road too with promotion. So that's basically what we're working on. For the Environmental Advisory Board, we are still doing the same kind of stuff. The one thing that we're really moving forward on is starting to trial different types of bee lawn mixes. This is going to be a 2 or 3 year venture because we want to try them out first. This is a good alternative to turf grass. And it's something that maybe a homeowner might want to consider putting in a bee lawn because you are going to be helping out the bee population. Plus they require less watering. There are many mixes where the plants don't get any higher than 3 inches. So your mowing is out. So your carbon footprint is less. I mean, there's so many different good things about this, but I've been working with Mike Mathis over from Parks and Rec. There's space out there by Paddler's Park that has just been sitting fallow for quite a while. And so he has offered us space out there. There's a lot of space and we don't want to take it all up with different trial plots. We're also looking at other things that we could do out there as far as, helping out the community and trying out like maybe different rain garden designs. And it's kind of a learning thing to have the school kids come in, have like a little mini tree farm. We could try out different riparian types of plants that would be beneficial to our rivers. So that's what we're looking at right now pretty stringently. And of course, as we're still in the middle of our winter educational series. Our next one's going to be in January, and it's over at the library, and they've been very, very good about helping us promote it. So that's about all I've got.
Anybody else, boards, commissions, or committees? Bonnie?
I'd like to point out something that I think is really important. From the minutes, I don't know if Mr. Sukawati would like to say something, but this thing about lead laterals, that's going to be a big deal. This replacement of the lead laterals and the possible requiring people to, are you talking about the inside of the house that you want them on their public side to take care of that also? You know what I'm talking about, right?
Yes, so you're referring to lead service replacements.
Yes.
So
Mandate versus volunteer, something like that, you said.
yes, I don't have an entire program laid out. This is still kind of in the works within the utility committee. So I don't want to get too far ahead of myself. But there's a lot of things coming down with lead that are going to force our hand into acting faster than we have in the past. One of them is a EPA recommendation for requirement that they want to try and pass by October of 2024. And basically that states that the EPA would try to require every lead service lateral to be replaced in every city within 10 years.
I would like to make a comment that when this started with, if it was Michigan or Indiana, I can't remember what state. We, as the city council, we wanted to see every resident getting this $2,500, but we can't promise that.
Correct.
And it had nothing to do with your income. So the reason I'm saying that, if somebody is approached, do you want your lead laterals replaced as a resident? I think you should consider it, because who knows how long that money will last.
Yeah, I mean, once we know a little bit more of the circumstances of this program, the issue that we've been running into with lead services is when we do a new water main construction, you are being forced to replace the entirety of the service. The city owns half, every resident owns the other half. That's the $2,500 that we were giving towards the private side in the past. That's all kind of changed. We didn't get the funding we were hoping for, at least for 2024. So that's going to change things up a little bit, which again, we're in progress in the utility committee to figure that out. But the big issue we run into when we do scattered is they're all over the city. It's not very efficient. It takes staff a long time to go to every house, do inspections, come back and do estimates. It would be very beneficial for us to, go down the street and replace both sides in that, block and be done with it. But that would require us to, require everybody in that block to do it. But I'm not gonna lie, it's where we're heading. So hopefully we'll have more in January, once we can kind of get through a little bit more with the utility committee, and then we can.
That was the exact
information.
discussion at utilities. Understand, the ordinance says right now that the city can require it. We're not wild about going out there and mandating things on property owners, but the direction on this is clear. And unfortunately, there's not nearly enough money, even with all the money that the feds have put on our kids and grandkids with spending recently for infrastructure and for lead laterals. That's not a pinch compared to what it's going to cost to replace every single lead service. So I don't want to get too far ahead of it, but part of what we'll be talking about is for this year, backfilling for the grant money we're not getting for homeowners with some of our ARPA money and the county match ARPA money, which we haven't been spending on the private side. We've been spending that on public side and been fortunate enough to get the safe drinking water principal forgiveness, I'd call it grant, principal forgiveness money for the private side. So that's going to require a little shift, and it's going to require, we want to make clear that even though it is in the ordinance, if staff is out notifying people in those scattered areas, if you will, not along Roosevelt where it has to happen, at the 50 or so residences along there, we need to know that the council fully understands what we're going into, and that from a staff standpoint, you got our backs on this, because we can't do a timeout in the middle of the summer if we're into this. So that will be reported back. I think there's another utilities committee discussion coming on it.
Yeah, we want to discuss it on the January 2nd utility committee, hopefully to bring it back the second meeting in January, to have a discussion like this, when we're a little more, we have a little more figured out on the direction we want to go with it. But I'm not going to lie, the EPA has been pinching down. It's going to get worse, and they're just going to do whatever they can until we get all the lead out, unfortunately.
And help me out, Andrew, about how many lead laterals do we have left in the system?
I would say roughly about 1,500.
Okay.
So
we've bitten off about 1,000 of those in recent years.
Yeah, we did. I mean, we did pretty good in the last, since 2017 when we had our lead level exceedance. We've, as a city, done very well. I think getting all what we could, especially under a voluntary program. Again, we have two programs: mandatory when we do the water main, scattered. What we call scattered is the volunteer program we've done for anybody that wanted to get the lead out, that didn't have road construction done. But we're just going to run into an issue where we're not going to have a choice. So.
Thank you, Andrew. Anybody else? Any reports? All right, we had an advisory rec board meeting. We have a ongoing survey for our open space park plan. So if you want to take part in that, that is posted on Facebook. I did see it posted on the rec site. I think it also went home in the utilities, so make sure you take part in that. We also got the report from our tree inventory. I believe Mike would be able to share that report if you requested it. He was sharing it at the advisory rec board meeting last week, so very good report on that. Now we're going to skip out of order because we have the Brown family here. We don't want to keep them awaiting, so we're going to move on to 11A in our packet. Give you a second to flip over to that part. A is a consideration of development agreement with Athens Development LLC, formerly the Trust Division of Brown Building Center, providing a cash grant to assist that company with development of a new 28,000 square foot facility at the city's Woodland Industrial Park, pay-as-you-go grant from Tax Incremental District 15 in a total amount of up to $450,000. The recommended action is a motion to authorize the city manager and city clerk to sign the agreement on behalf of the city. Craig.
Would refer you to the enclosure in your packets. It starts on agenda packet page 121. I'd just say by way of background, city staff's been working over the past year with representatives of Braun Building / Athens Development. Kudos to Elizabeth Runge, our community development director, who's had extensive contact on this with the folks from Braun's. You've got on your agenda tonight a development agreement, pretty self-explanatory and similar to others we've had at the Woodland Industrial Park. It basically makes a commitment for a developer financed or pay-as-you-go cash grant from the TIF. In other words, the city's not fronting money on this, but as the result of any net tax increment generated by development on a 9.6 acre site that Athens Development is going to purchase and develop, the city commits to provide that increment as an offsetting revenue stream against a $450,000 TIF pay-as-you-go grant. And that, I believe, runs out to the year 2046. It's about a 20-year commitment. There is no interest rate associated with the $450,000 commitment that is made. And at the end of the term of the agreement, whether or not the company has been fully reimbursed that $450,000 out of their cash flow, the city's obligations will have been met. We welcome this investment by a long-term, family-owned local firm, and believe this is entirely consistent with why we set up an industrial park and why the council has adopted and already amended to expand what we offer in the way of business development grants from TID 14. Pleased to have Paul Brown and other members of the Brown family here tonight. Would like to invite Paul up for some brief comments at the mic. Welcome.
I think this is a great opportunity for my company. We're very excited about this. We've been down on the peninsula at the end of Chicago Street since 1950, manufacturing roof trusses down there. And the city of Manitowoc is redeveloping that, and that's the impetus for our making this move. I wanted to say, Mr. Dalkey, in response to your question about dealing with the city, we have very much enjoyed working with Greg and Elizabeth. They've done a really, really good job from my perspective as a business owner, trying to make something happen. They've been very accommodating, they've been responsive, and they've helped me in many ways. We are, Brown Building Center, and how familiar you are with us, building materials. We deal with professional builders. We've manufactured roof trusses, I don't know, since sometime in the middle 50s. This is going to give us an opportunity to expand that, build floor trusses, eventually build wall panels, all products that are significant to the professional builder in Manitowoc County, Kewaunee County, Door County, et cetera. And it will keep us viable and make us more valuable to our customers and help us grow. My father, Robert, is here. He started the business. My son, Ben, is the next generation. So we're looking forward many, many decades to be a member of the city of Two Rivers, And looking very much forward to working with all of you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Brown. We appreciate your coming to Two Rivers and investing in our beautiful city. So thank you very much. Any other background, Greg?
I would just note it's an approximately 28,000 square foot building, and I don't have the exact figure in front of me, but north of a $2 million total investment. The city's Business Industrial Development Committee, which we have two council members that sit on that, Tracy and Scott, has likewise approved a loan that will assist the project. So we very much recommend approval of the development agreement as presented.
Okay. Looking for a motion on this.
We'll make the motion.
I heard Tracy, second by Jeff. That was a big one. Look at that. You're well loved. All right, Tracy, then Jeff. Any council discussion? Yes, Darla.
A quick question.
Sure.
In the draft development agreement, it does reference TID 14 on the agenda.
It says something else.
It says
15.
TID 15. So I just wanted to bring that up. I was a little
Help me out,
confused.
Elizabeth, which one is it?
I think it's a
Oh.
draft.
So the draft would need to be changed then?
Yep.
Okie dokie.
Right.
Anything else? Seeing, Jeff, sorry.
I just wanted to say, most times I am against the grants, but when you're adding some value to the city and expanding, I am 100% in favor of something like this.
Anybody else? See none, Amanda. Oh, Bill.
How much do you expect to employ?
People there, well, maybe 8. I expect that in the next 3 years, one of the things that's going to happen here is
Mr. Brown, I'm sorry. Can you just jump up to the mic, just so people at home can hear the response to Bill's question?
Okay. Day one, we're going to have about 8 employees to support this business. I am going to try and expand my business to probably close to 12 total employees. That is between the design staff and assembly. It doesn't include any salespeople. My salespeople who work selling windows and doors and lumber, et cetera, sell the roof trusses. So it's a little bit muddled if you wanted to, I don't have people who exclusively sell roof trusses. We sell a lot of different things. So strictly in the design and production of the trusses, there's ultimately, I would think in the next 3 to 5 years, something like 12 in that area, up from 6.
Thank you. Anything else? Are we sure? Perfect. Roll call vote, Amanda.
Adam Mahusky,
Aye.
Jeff Delkey,
Aye.
Tracy Coach, Bill Leclerc, Darla Leclerc, Tim Petrie, Bonnie Shimulis,
Aye.
Scott Steckmeister.
All right, motion carries. Brown family, thank you for being here. We certainly appreciate it and appreciate your involvement in the city of Two Rivers and your investment. So thank you very much.
Merry Christmas, folks.
All right, on to Greg and his city manager's report.
Yes, pleased to share my report tonight. Just again, a reminder, we have some ongoing recruitment for vacancies. We have completed the first round of interviews for the tourism director position and actually we'll be wrapping those up tomorrow afternoon with 3 finalists invited back for a second interview. The deadline was extended for applications for apprentice line worker, and with this extension period, we've seen very good response. I know that Brian Delman and Amanda went over the applications that have come in so far last Friday, and we've got a good looking crop, even with some time to run there. Parks and Rec Office Manager Tammy Stadler is retiring December 22 after about 30 years with the city, so that position has been advertised. The deadline date was last week, Friday. I think there'll be a couple of finalist interviews coming up there. And we're pleased to report a regular part-time hire of Craig Freilich in the building inspector position. He is continuing to work with Jane Drager as he pursues his certification, but things are moving forward there for progression in filling that position. Nomination papers remain available for folks interested in running for city council on the April ballot. There are three-year positions available on council. The filing deadline is Tuesday, January 2nd at 5 p.m. in the city clerk's office. I think this next part is now irrelevant, at least. Notification of non-candidacy by current council members must be filed by Friday, December 22. That is this Friday. However, Mr. Dahlke, as one incumbent, has already filed his petitions as a candidate and is running, and Ms. Coach, as an incumbent, has filed her non-candidacy papers. So that takes care of the two incumbents because we have one vacancy.
I was informed before council meeting started that Seehafer had it wrong when they did some talking on it today, that there was only 2 positions available.
Yeah, there's 2 incumbent seats, but there are 3 positions.
Right.
Well, we can send them a note to that effect. And as I've noted here, nomination papers have been filed by Mark Bittner, Doug Brandt, and by Jeff Dahlke, Jeff being the one incumbent that has filed to run. And Tracy, again, has filed her non-candidacy papers. But there are other papers out there in circulation, and as they are turned into the clerk and certified, we will we'll share that with you all. If there should be more than 6 candidates, in other words, 7 or more candidates, more than twice the number of vacancies that are up in the April election, then there would be a primary in February. So stay tuned.
I got one quick question. How many people have taken out papers?
So right now, there's about 7 people that have picked up papers. The catch with that is the whole packet is also available online. So if someone downloads the papers online, I don't know that they're circulating them until they are returned and certified.
Would just, again, we heard it from City Council earlier, extend thanks to the many planners, organizers, volunteers, and financial supporters of the first ever Cool City Christmas celebration this last Saturday. I'm going to give a special shout out to Lisa Keen, my administrative assistant, deputy city clerk, who really pulled so much of the organization together, including dozens of volunteers, and kudos to many of our city staff from departments throughout the city that volunteered, and council members who volunteered, and just folks from the community. It was truly a great day and enjoyed by hundreds of people. And I expect it's the beginning of a new Two Rivers tradition. So even the reindeer sticking their tongue out, you don't get that too often. Just to speak to it a little, there were over $5,000 in revenue in support of the event. The Friends of the Two Rivers Senior Center donated $2,000 to make sure the cost of Santa and those live reindeer were covered. So free photos could be offered to the kids. There were 142 professionally photographed free 5x7s that were distributed on Saturday. Community First Credit Union donated $2,000, and they covered the free skate rental on Saturday and presented a $2,000 challenge grant that, if that was met with donations, would be available. That was identified as being earmarked for future programming in the park. That requirement was met. The folks from Lowe's sent 6 or 7 workers who were on payroll with 300 kits for kids to do things. Two Rivers Rotary had an ornament making workshop in the tent outside. I know I'm skipping over people, but over 50 vendors at the vendor fair. There could have been 100 if there was space for 100. The FBLA student selling hot dogs and offering a wrapping table, music from the community, from the high school chorus, from the Powell family, Rick and his wife Robin over at Washington House, the Clipper City Chordsmen. It was a real partnership between City Hall, Parks and Rec, the Two Rivers Historical Society, Rotary, Two Rivers Main Street, and the downtown community. So like I said several times on the radio, you don't get that on Amazon. You know, our holiday shopping patterns might have changed, but to get together and celebrate in the heart of our downtown, it is a great thing. And we heard nothing but accolades. It was a true family event. Also, speaking of service to the community, the Two Rivers Police Department, which has done this tradition for probably 20 plus years, I'm guessing, had their Shop with a Cop evening last Thursday, December 14. Here's Chief Minert, as well as a number of the officers with the young people that took part in Shop with a Cop last week. We would note that the Rec Department is offering expanded skate rental hours at Central Park West. Those are shown there during the holidays. This coming weekend, both Saturday and Sunday, the 23rd and 24th, the day after Christmas, the 26th, Saturday and Sunday again, going into New Year's weekend. And those are the rental hours. You can rent skates for an hour and a half for $5. And you can bring your own skates anytime. The ice is generally open from 6 a.m. to 11 p.m. Though the ice is there all the time, but the park hours are 6 to 11. So you can bring your own skates and skate anytime. From the holiday prep to the more mundane, quite a while awaiting the electrical equipment that controls it. And after a long supply chain delay there, that equipment was recently delivered. We'll see it powered up in January, starting in early February. This is big stuff. Again, this is the tail end of the wastewater treatment process, but it's a pretty important piece of equipment that removes as much water as possible from the sewage sludge at the end of the treatment process. That's important to reduce the volume of the waste to be stored and the volume that needs to be land applied. $1.1 million project where we're able to get long-term low-interest financing and some principal forgiveness from DNR's Clean Water Program. And as council knows, it replaces a mechanical belt press that's over 50 years old. And our people at Wastewater have had to have some custom machining done to create parts to fix it in recent years. So that's a big project now nearing completion in the first quarter next year. Hopping over to the tourism fund, room tax revenues continue to go well. I didn't get an update of this program because this printout because I'd forgotten our finance director was on vacation today. What I can tell you is we continue to run ahead of last year. At the end of October, actually collections through September, because there's a 1 month lag in there. Collections through September need to be turned in by the end of October. We were at $281,000. We are projecting for the current year that room tax collections will exceed $320,000. And looking at the financial system Friday, it's already at $315,000. So I'd say we're going to top 320. And you don't have to go back very far if you go up to the top of this chart. Up until 2020, which was the year the new cobblestone opened and we started really seeing an influx of vacation rentals, we were running 115 to never more than 120,000 a year in room tax revenue. So this just isn't about numbers on room tax collected by the city. It's a pretty good indicator of tourism activity. And hopefully those folks they're not just spending money on lodging, but they're having an economic impact in the community. Fun things to do outside of city facilities. Woodland Dunes Nature Center is doing a family fun open house on Wednesday, December 27th with winter crafts, learning about animals in winter. You can cozy up in the conference center up there by the fireplace and enjoy some hot cocoa, and anytime during open hours, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. on Wednesday, the 27th. Nice midwinter activity out there. Jim Nickelbein, the soon to retire executive director at Woodland Dunes, will be the featured speaker at the Environmental Advisory Board's next educational series session over at Leicester Library on January 4th. And Jim will be speaking about invasive species, the fight to save land and water. So Jim's been a good friend to the city throughout his years of leadership at Woodland Dunes. So we encourage you to turn out and learn something and give him a nice send-off from the community. Council President Wahusky mentioned earlier the question that he and probably some of the rest of you have been hearing, which is, why did my tax bill go up? Because clearly, if you look at the bottom line, tax bills that went out a couple weeks ago are up. The key is really, it's all in the numbers. And as Adam mentioned earlier, and I've put a red box here on the percentage change. There are 5 taxing entities that appear on the bill. The cities, well, taking it from the top, the property tax rate or property tax levied on a property in the city of Two Rivers by the county up 1.9% over last year. The cities, the tax bill attributable to the city up 2% over last year. Two Rivers School District 17.7% over last year. Lakeshore Technical College 2.9%. Add them all together and the taxes flowing to the different taxing entities in total are up 6.6%, not just on the sample bill, but on any tax bill. Now, if you're especially a residential property owner, there are those below the line credits that are funded by the state. The first dollar credit went up this year by 8.6%. That's good. The lottery and gaming credit, must have been a lot of megabucks drawings or scratch off sold or something, up 23.2%. So those mitigated that tax increase a little bit with the below the line credits, so that the net lift in property tax bill for a residential property in Two Rivers up 5.5%. But again, the city share very modest at 2%. Jeff?
And quite a few people asked me about the lottery and gaming credit, that they didn't have any credit on their tax bills.
Finance director isn't here tonight, but if you're a resident, I believe that applies just to residential properties. Amanda, you look like you.
They have to live on the property or at the property as their primary residence on January 1st of that year in order for the credit to apply. They can apply for it afterwards through the Department of Revenue, or I believe by January 31st with our Treasury Department.
Okay,
Finance
because
department.
there's 3 people for sure that I know have had contacted me, and I didn't even get it.
Yep, so you can fill out a form if that's your primary residence of January 1st of that year, and then it can be taken off of the tax bill if it goes in prior to January 31st. Otherwise, you can submit it to the state.
So
for
they can get the
reimbursement.
forms from you?
They are available online, or the
Okay.
customer service department will have some.
Certainly refer them to customer service here at City Hall.
All right.
Yep, we pay those people to take care of those problems, so
right.
please refer them. Yeah. So that's the story. And again, while there's a single line item for City of Two Rivers on the tax bill, do understand, and council understands, there are 3 different city funds that are to some degree tax supported. The general fund, the operating budget for the city that funds police, fire, public works, parks and rec, and administration that's about an $11.5 million budget. It did not require a tax increase this year, mostly because of the significant increase we saw in state shared revenues. Long overdue, but welcome increase in state shared revenues. Property taxes also are part of the revenue stream for the Leicester Public Library. There, the city did approve an 8% increase in the portion of the city levy that goes to the library. That was $50,000 to help address staff wages. That was a recommendation by both the director and the library board. We also saw some of that 2% lift due to an increase in funding needs for the debt service fund, which pays principal and interest on prior year's borrowing for city capital projects. And there, an additional $70,000 in taxes was needed to cover an increase in principal and interest payments that we have coming next year. So total lift outside of the TIF districts, which capture and keep the lifts, about $120,000 divvied up between the library and debt service. But again, 2%, which I would suggest isn't bad given what we've seen in terms of inflation over the past year. But that's how the numbers break down.
Thank you for sharing that, because like I said, I got quite a few people. I think I had 6 and one was an ongoing one, so.
The city just gets blessed with doing the assessing and mailing the bills out, but we're acting on behalf of 3 other taxing entities. You got it. Something else, and we missed this for tonight's agenda. The last 2 years, this has been a council action. I assume nobody objects to it. If you do, you can request a special meeting. But that would be to turn out the street lights up and down Washington Street in the downtown on Christmas Eve. And in keeping with that, I'll say, revived tradition of the past 2 years, the utility already has plans in place, and we didn't put it for an action item tonight, but plans in place to turn the street lights off from 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. So if you want to take a drive downtown, enjoy the public decorations along the street, the beautiful decorations in the storefronts, because businesses really went all out this year. That's a special time on the most magical night of the year, as we note here. Fire department had this past Sunday their breakfast with Santa. Chief reported they served 175 people. That's back to pre-COVID levels. There was a large amount of donations collected for Two Rivers Ecumenical Pantry And the fire department and the union, Local 423, also raised a lot of money going into its charity account. And that finds its way back out into the community all through the year. So again, kudos to our firefighters for this great community service. A lot of families really enjoy that event. We've known for a couple of weeks, but we're waiting for the DNR to make it public. The city has been awarded another $25,000 grant from DNR's Urban Forestry Program, which statewide funded about $1.6 million in grants. Manitowoc also got $25,000 in funding. You might have seen that out on Sea Hafer today. The DNR notes that an urban forest encompasses trees on public and private property to help keep people cool, remove pollutants from the air, and improve mental health. The $25,000 here will be used for standardizing best practices and executing a tree management program. And it's going to build on work that has been done in the current year with locally generated funds and another DNR forestry grant, which included the citywide tree inventory that Adam mentioned earlier, and staff training, as well as some tree planting. So that's another step forward in reviving our city forestry program. And I know Mike and his staff will be working closely, with other city departments as well, because we're trying to get more aggressive as we rebuild streets at rebuilding the tree infrastructure on those streets as well. So well done. Bunch of closures with the holidays coming up. City Hall is closed on Monday, the 25th, and Tuesday, the 26th. We're also closed on Monday, January 1. The Leicester Library closures are December 22, 23, Monday, the 25th. They will be open on the 26th. Then they'll be closed again on the 30th, which is Saturday, and on Monday, January 1. Senior Center closures noted there, 25th, 26th, January 1. Community House, 24th, 25th, 31st, and January 1. It is? The second is incorrect. The second. Right. You know what? That's right. I'm sorry. And we had clarified that late this afternoon. That change didn't get made. January 2, the Community House will be open. No regular city council, no work session for December. And the next regular council meeting, that's a question I had actually. It would be Tuesday, January 2nd. Is there any interest in moving it to the 3rd, or are you all fine with Tuesday the 2nd? City Hall is open Tuesday the 2nd.
Set to move the Public Works meeting. Because that's not usually on the first Wednesday.
That would bump in the
But
Public
we could always
Works.
move that, yeah, we could move that.
Again,
Doesn't
from
matter
a
to
staff
me.
standpoint, we're perfectly fine with with leaving it on the 2nd. Does anybody have plans that will have them out of area or anything? If not, I'll correct this before this goes out for public distribution beyond here, but let's make that January 2. Okay. And in closing, I just wanted to share a few images that Sean Williams, who does photography and some of the background work on some of the city social media stuff that goes out from City Hall. Some images he was able to capture this past weekend here for Cool City Christmas. From skaters on the skating loop, again, free rentals courtesy of Community First Credit Union. Craft activities inside, the people from Lowe's were very generous. And really, we heard a lot of positive feedback from the Lowe's staffers that were here working with the kids, and great feedback from parents as well. And I think our IT manager might know the people in this shot here. Again, enjoying the skating loop. There are some of these helper devices out there if you have need of one. Young lady in the background might have needed one there. I would need one. More shots of people out enjoying the day in the park before the rain set in. Skating loop. Mike, all of the skates, early in the afternoon, all of the skates, the rental skates were out, right, in circulation? Popular sizes.
I counted up today, I think we had 188 skates.
Pairs? Okay, very good. Thank you. 188 pairs of skates rented out, which is amazing. There were over 425 people through the photo line, 142 free photos taken. Other numbers, Tracy, I know you had some counts.
Money,
Yeah, well, or people counts.
there were hundreds and hundreds that came through we were clicking and off the elevator doors. It was didn't get their photographs taken professionally. We did have staff there to use your phone and take pictures, so.
That was very popular. Well, Washington House reported they had about 400 visitors for their activity, so they were very happy with the day. I think this is the start of something that needs to become a TR tradition. And the ever popular reindeer, again, thank you for the sponsors helping make that possible. Zante, always popular. And again, just some of the young people enjoying the festivities. Some of you recognize our former city clerk, Kim Graves, working the Rotary tent where they were doing an ornament making workshop. For information on every upcoming event in Two Rivers, go to explore2rivers.com. And that is my report for tonight.
So are we going with Wednesday or Tuesday? I kind of like the Wednesday, but are we going Wednesday or Tuesday in January? Tuesday? I like the Wednesday too.
Wednesday.
Or if it conflicts, do you want to send out an email? I'd prefer Wednesday, or do you want to take a show of hands now? Do a show of hands.
Yeah, let's settle it tonight.
So what do you want, Wednesday? Let's go with Wednesday.
Looks like Wednesday carries the day.
Oh,
Will you be able to attend, Bonnie?
I got it. Aren't we supposed to have a public utilities meeting before that? I think if we keep it on the 2nd, so that public utilities gets to,
It would just be
Have the-
flip-flopping, wouldn't it, essentially?
Utilities usually meet right before council,
yeah.
so
But if
only,
we move that to Wednesday, then Public Works is gonna
yeah,
have.
one committee would have to change
Yeah.
the meeting date.
Okay.
Get done earlier. I have stuff later on Tuesday night.
On Wednesday. Yep.
And I had emailed members of the Personnel and Finance Committee, got to get an agenda out tomorrow, but it looks like for that meeting, Wednesday worked for all three meetings. Jeff as chair, Adam and Bonnie all had indicated. So that's 5 o'clock Wednesday here in the committee room. And that would be to talk about some proposed changes to address in January at council in the personnel policy, and also some preliminary discussion about our capital borrowing plans for 2024. I know I've got a hard stop at 6 p.m. for that meeting due to another commitment, but I think, and Adam, I know it's the tail end of your workday. 5 o'clock should work right about in there.
I'll make it work.
Okay, appreciate it. So we'll get that agenda out to you tomorrow.
And I like a hard stop at 6. What's that, Tracy?
So we are meeting. city
On
council.
City Council will be on Wednesday at 6. We'll be at, instead of 5:15, that'll be at 5, giving you guys enough time on Wednesday. So 15 minutes earlier on Wednesday for,
And we keep the same time for public utilities.
I would assume so. Why not?
Okay. That works.
Okay.
Very good. Thank you.
All right. Is that all you got?
That is all I've got. Thank you. I don't have anything for
Yes.
legislative intergovernmental update. I think they're on vacation.
Good.
Yes.
Tell them to stay there.
Booties for the ice rink. Do they make it a little bit faster, a little slick, or is it just like walking with shoes? It's a lot of people walking with the booties, so just curious.
Yeah, the main reason for the booties is to try to keep dirt off the plastic rink. That rink likes to suck up that dirt and just looks dirty. So the booties really are to keep people's dirty shoes off the rink. We can power wash it off and it cleans up fairly well, but over time that's just going to accumulate. So the more we can keep people's shoes off, the better. The booties were more slick. People had more fun sliding around on those. There's a lot of people that had fun just doing that this weekend too.
Thank you.
So even when the ice rink's not really open for public skate, you shouldn't be walking on it.
Yeah, preferably you shouldn't be walking on it. We've been keeping a bin of booties out under a sign, an A-frame sign right next to the kind of the entrance to the rink. And yeah, so people can just go up and use those, and they're one-time use. Most of them kind of rip apart after a few uses, so they can just throw them in a trash can. I picked up a lot of them, so yeah, help me out there. And yes, no bikes, please.
Yes, absolutely on that one. Darla?
Oh, Mike, sorry, get back here. I sent you an email. When Bill and I went and we were sitting next to the skating rink and watching those kids, when they fall, they just bounce right back up. I am so jealous. But, but you had like adults out there and kids who didn't know how to skate with the booties and with the little walker deals. And I saw it, like I said in my email, there were adults trying to use those walkers or those assists, and they're like really super short. Is there some way we can get some taller ones? 'Cause
Yeah,
I would even get
I
out
haven't
there.
bought any more. We've just dropped a lot of money on
Right.
that rink so far this year and figuring everything out and how to operate it and stuff. So I haven't bought adult ones yet. The 3 that we have were just kind of testers to see what was sturdy, what we liked. But we also have plans that we can make our own out of PVC pipe. That'll hopefully save us some money in the long run. Also hoping to find some of the cool little kid ones as well. They're like little penguins and dolphins and kind of stuff like that. And I hear about some donations that we might be coming along the way for that one. So
Thanks.
All right, on to the consent agenda under number 10. Under A, presentation of minutes, there are 2. We have a city council work session of November 27th, 2023, and a city council regular meeting of December 4th, 2023. The recommended action is a motion to waive reading and adopt those minutes. Under B, minutes of meetings, there are 6. The recommended action is a motion to receive and file. Under C, department reports for November 2023, there are 11. The recommended action is a motion to receive and file. Under D, summary of verified bills for the month of November 2023 for $1,585,309.79. The recommended action is a motion to receive and place on file. Under E, applications and petitions, there are 2. We have an application for a new combination Class B beers / Class B liquor license application for the period of December 19th, 2023 to June 30th, 2024 for Round 'em Up LLC at 1110 30th Street, Josephine Kraus agent, DBA, The Spruce Lodge. The recommended action is a motion to receive and place on file. And the second one is an application for a commercial hauler's license recommended for approval for Pazorski Hauling and Recycling LLC at 2515 Vebon Street in Manitowoc. The recommended action is a motion to approve the application and authorize the engineering department to issue the license. The recommended action for the consent agenda as a whole is a motion to approve the consent agenda with the various actions recommended. Looking for a motion on this. Thank you, Jeff. Seconded by Tracy. Council discussion. See none, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Thank you very much. Under 11 city council formal items, we're gonna go right to B, which are the recommendations from the Plan Commission regular meeting of December 11th, 2023. There are 2 of those recommendations. I think we'll take them as we can take them individually maybe. So under 1, we have a conditional use permit for self-storage units on the property located between the end of 15th Street, just west of Washington Street and the West Twin River, parcel 053-000-076-015.03, submitted by Alliance Construction and Design on behalf of Eric Burrows. The Plan Commission did recommend this for denial. The recommended action to have the motion set to a public hearing for January 16th, 2024 at 6 p.m. Greg, any background?
Pretty self-explanatory here. The self-storage or mini warehouse units, whatever you choose to call them, are a conditional use in the I-1 business district. The Plan Commission advises the council, has input prior to the council holding the public hearing on these. There was a 4-1 vote of the Plan Commission to recommend denial of the conditional use, and in the minutes, you'll see the reasons cited included concerns about hours of operation, landscape screening, clearance between a couple of the buildings, and I'm forgetting, those are 4 or 3s in there, but
Stormwater.
thank you. The need for a stormwater management plan for the site, which is about a 2-acre site. So that said, the next step, whether the Plan Commission, which I know the council weighs their input, but whether the Plan Commission recommends approval or denial, the application remains active, and the next step would be for the council to set a public hearing on that application. And again, just FYI, that means legal notice in the paper, class 2 notice, I think, and notice to all property owners within 200 feet of the parcel in question. So to Bonnie's earlier point, if this hearing is set tonight, this matter would not be up for a vote by the council until the meeting on the 16th.
Looking for a motion to set the public hearing. Thank you, Tim. Seconded by Darla. Council discussion. Tracy.
I have a question.
Sure.
No.
Okay. Till January?
Yeah.
Okay.
Gonna make a phone call.
Okay. Any other questions?
Am I
Bonnie.
able to ask why the Plan Commission, I went to one meeting, I believe they were at 2 meetings.
Yes, this matter was on the agenda in November and it was tabled to the
Right.
December meeting. One of the reasons there was it didn't reflect compliance with the required setback from a residential use, which was part of the north boundary of the site abuts River House, the senior apartments. So it didn't have a sufficient, the building in that area that was proposed didn't have sufficient setback. So they made that change. I think they also relocated a boat launch they're proposing from the downriver end of the site near the old railroad bridge to the north end of the site, upriver end of the
And
site.
are these the same people that want to put storage units up? Is that what we're voting on?
That's what you're setting the hearing on. Yes, it's storage units, self-storage units, as noted.
So this is primarily to set the public hearing to give the public an opportunity to come up and speak on it before we vote on it. So it's not, by saying yes, we're not accepting the plan. We're just saying, hey, let's let the public come up and air their grievances, so to speak. So we do have a motion. We do have a second. Any other council discussion? Seeing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right, motion carries. On to the second part of that, it is a possible sign ordinance amendment to allow decal-style private signs to be applied to the surface of public sidewalks within the public right-of-way adjacent to business properties. The recommended action is a motion to leave the ordinance unchanged as recommended by the Plan Commission. Greg?
Yes, this matter also was discussed, I believe, at the November meeting and came back for further discussion at the December Plan Commission meeting. There are presently several of these, I'll call them decal type signs that are applied to the surface of the public sidewalk in the downtown. There's one that's been there for a little better than a year in front of Weicker Realty. I think there are a total of 5 there presently. And then there's another one in front of, Cool City Clothing Company on the other side of the street. Staff has agreed to withhold any enforcement action on those signs, which can be pretty easily removed, we're told, pending resolution of this matter. If they were to be allowed, it would mean there would be the need to amend our sign ordinance. I guess you'd consider them off-premise signs because they're on the public right-of-way, not on a private property. There'd need to be a number of rules and parameters set out in the ordinance, like what are you advertising? It probably would also be appropriate that the Public Works ordinance would be addressed because they're in the public right-of-way. That's as far as I'm going to take that discussion right now, because the recommendation coming forward from the Plan Commission on a 4-1 vote was to leave the ordinance as is, which would mean because this type of signage is not specifically permitted, it would remain prohibited and there'd be follow-up enforcement action on fining people, but there'd be follow-up with a request for removal. So that's the recommendation from the Plan Commission. I know we have some people that may have an interest in speaking to it. I'll leave it to them if council wishes to suspend rules. I know Ms. Kuba from Weichert is here, so.
I will add a little commentary just from being on Plan Commission, and then we will suspend those rules to allow anyone to comment if they do so choose. I know our Main Street Director, Jason Ring, is also here. He may want to comment as well. I'm not sure. But being at the Plan Commission, it did go 4-1. I did vote in favor of it. I think it's a good idea to allow people to advertise on the sidewalk. I think it actually beautifies it. As you know, nowadays, most people, and this is the argument that I made at Plan Commission, most times people are looking down, whether it's at your phone, maybe you're walking your dog, whatever it may be, you're not always looking up. And I think it gives people, when they walk in the downtown, just something else to look at, a way to get advertisements, a way to get your name out there. It's a non-stick surface, so it's not something that you're going to slip on. It's something that can be easily removed and re-put back down. My only hesitance is to make sure that we are allowing them to advertise for their business, not that we're advertising for other businesses or we start getting political stuff, because we don't want to get too far in the weeds or anything that could be negative. I know the example that I brought up is sometimes you see the F Joe Biden or F Trump signs that you know what I'm talking about. I didn't know how to exactly say that, but in public.
A lot better than many do.
Right. But you see those kind of things, and those are things I don't think that we want to advertise on our sidewalks in the downtown. So I think if we keep it to the businesses and stuff that they're promoting and stuff that they do, I think it's a great idea. And also the number, I don't know that I would want every single sidewalk panel. So what that magic number is, I don't know. But I think it's something that I would advocate to approve and send back to Plan Commission to get some kind of parameters. Is 1 too few? Yes. Is 20 too many? Yes. The magic number to find. And again, it's something that you see a lot if you go to Vegas and Florida and so on and so forth. You'll find these all over the place. And as we increase our tourism, I think it's a good thing to let people walking downtown know about what we offer. Does anyone want to speak? Okay, Mr. Ring. Again, we will suspend those rules. It is not public input, but we are allowing this during this period.
Thank you. And I would normally, it would be Mark Gordon would be up here speaking, but he is on vacation today, and Joanne is shy. So those businesses asked if I would come up and represent them here. This really came to my attention first when a few of our Main Street businesses came to me and said, hey, we were doing this sidewalk signage and the city let us know that it's not allowed. And they said, we looked in the code and we couldn't find anything that says it's not allowed. And turns out if the code doesn't say it's allowed, it's not allowed. So we learned that together. And that's why this group came to the city and said, what do we need to do to set some parameters so that there are rules behind this and that we can take advantage of this opportunity to advertise, and we can do it in a way that's uniform and fair to everybody and doesn't do anything to diminish the aesthetics of our downtown. So that's kind of the steps that we've gone through to this point. The Two Rivers Main Street Board, we have not, as a board, voted in to support or against this. But because we have businesses that have said this is something we're interested in, we're here learning. We're here kind of helping the process along. And I think if we got to a point where the city had an ordinance that they were suggesting, that then we would take a vote on that as a board to support that proposed ordinance or not. But we were kind of waiting in that for that opportunity to vote on that, and there's not one being proposed. It's simply being looked at to keep the status quo. So I guess from the standpoint of the businesses here, we'd certainly like the council to consider this as an opportunity to allow a new form of advertising in our downtown. And some of the things that we'd like to see an ordinance address would be, like Adam said, the number of signs. the size of signs, the location of the signs. And we want to make sure that businesses that are taking advantage of this advertising opportunity are only doing it for their business in front of their own business, and that there be a relative size put out there. I think the minimum, the smallest store frontage that we have of any property in the downtown is about 15 feet. So we'd like to see something like one sign per 15 feet. And then again, something that really only takes up 1 square of sidewalk. Maybe that's 24 inches, something like that, that gives it a uniform size, a uniform placement. And then, of course, have a process where they reach out to the city for a permit for that. So the city can regulate how many are out there, where they're at. And maybe it's an opportunity that we start this as a pilot program and we test it out for a year and we see how many people take advantage of it, what those signs look like after a year. I know Joanne has been very helpful in inviting people to come look at the sign that they have out that's currently been there a year. And I think she's shown that they're in very good condition. They're a non-slip surface and they've held up very well. So to me, we've really tested this program quite well. But if the city council feels like that's not been enough testing to it, if we could try this for a year and see where it goes, I think our organization could be in support of that. And I know there are businesses in our downtown right now that would like to take advantage of that. I have also heard from I've heard from one business that says, it seems like a lot of work to go through for all this. Why bother? But that's been the only negative that I've heard from businesses going this direction. There are 4 businesses that I know of now that are in support of doing this and would like to try it out. I know 2 are doing it now and a couple more would go forward with it, should it be allowed. So that's all I have. I don't know if anybody has questions for me that I can answer or if I'm allowed to do that, but.
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yes. No, I'm responding to him. Yes, he
okay.
can answer questions.
Then I won't go sit down and
Nope.
if people have
stay.
questions.
We've talked about this, and one of the things that we thought was important too was if they start showing any signs of fading or damage, that they should be replaced or removed within 14 days of damage, or being reported, whichever comes first. And another thing that we talked about too is that, and having had a business on Washington Street, I can attest to this as well. On a windy day, you don't want your flag out there and you don't want a sandwich board out there because it's a babysitting ritual when you do that. With this, they are flat. The businesses can still have a presence. And quite frankly, I think that as long as there is an ordinance that addresses this and there's parameters and there's, follow these rules, because we have the same things for blade signs and for signs that are right on front of the building. This is a sign just like any other. It's just, it happens to be down on the ground. And I think that anything that we can do to support our businesses here, I think is beneficial. You're starting, like you said, starting to get input from all businesses. In my mind, if businesses think it's worth trying, I think we should be supporting them as well.
What if a business isn't on Washington Street?
I'm sorry?
What if a business isn't on Main Street?
I think
In
it
the
should,
bid district.
I think it should go to any business that is a business that is zoned business. Yeah.
And I'm here advocating on behalf of the Main Street organization, but I think, again, this could apply to any business in a business district.
I would recommend that we look to approve this, whether it be a pilot program or a non-pilot program. But I would recommend then also kicking it back to Plan Commission to go through the homework of getting the parameters of what it should actually be. So in terms of how many signs and all the legwork of putting this together, that's what I would recommend that we try to get out of here. Obviously, you can go whichever way you want to go. It's not my choice. That would be what I would personally like to see, though. Jack.
There are some legal issues to be looked at as well, especially in light of the case law indicating that there can be no discrimination or limitation of signs based on their content. So trying to limit it to a particular area may run afoul of that sort of case law. Just things I'd want to check into before an ordinance was actually adopted.
Okay, good legal advice. We like that.
I would just comment, and maybe we're either cutting edge or it's just not that good of an idea. I'm not sure which, but we haven't been able as staff, and I think same goes for Main Street, to find any other Wisconsin communities that are allowing this. That doesn't mean you shouldn't look at it, but it does add another whole dimension to signage. It introduces it into the public right of way. That should probably be addressed in the Public Works ordinance as well. It's technically off-premise signage, but if you want to go the route of allowing it, I'd certainly suggest, and then Jack's review is going to be critical, but I think everyone who's discussed this has intended it be to advertise an immediately adjacent private business, not off-premise advertising directing you to a pizza parlor in Manitowoc or even a business on the other side of the street, but that business. Size of the square is important because we got those little squares downtown that are about 2 by 2. You don't want to be spanning over joints in the concrete. I would suggest maybe a hopscotch pattern would be lovely, but you might want to go with a uniform distance out from the building so they're in alignment. You might want to go with, if you just did one per business, sort of like a doormat right where the entry is, so it's also a visual cue. People are looking down might also mean we might be wanting to talk to our businesses about what most people are really looking down at, which is a digital device. Some are advertising on that. Council wants to refer it for the pilot program. We're giving it a try. It isn't just Plan Commission. It's a matter of use of the public right of way. Hope it doesn't.
Gonna have to go to both.
It should go to the Public Works Committee as well as Plan Commission.
Jeff.
I'm with you on this one, Adam. I think that we should probably look into it because if you look around the city, other than that, any of your concrete panels that construction companies had put in have their stamp on it. That's the same thing. That's advertising. They are. They're everywhere. And, well, it's no different than all the panels that are in Central Park, but some of them are business. It's the same thing as advertising.
The brick pavers?
Yep, the brick pavers. I mean, it's the same thing in context. You know, it's
on a public property.
It's still
on
on
a public right of way.
Some rules for the sidewalk.
So we can come out of here with some kind of a motion, which we hope to do, but
that
I'll advocate and continue to advocate that it is a good idea.
I will make a motion to send it back to Plan Commission to look into allowing it, to come up with the different regulations that need to be applied for it.
And the public.
And the Public Works Committee to look at as well.
So you're looking to approve kicking it back to both committees to figure out the boundaries of
Correct.
this? Okay,
I'll
second
second
by Jeff. Thank you. Any further council discussion? Bonnie.
I find, when they're on the sidewalk, they're not like a sandwich board that you can see them, but yet I don't really see a problem with them. I saw that one by Weikert's and I was afraid to step on it. I thought I didn't really understand what it was. It was kind of outstanding. But it doesn't, you're not gonna hurt yourself by tripping on it or something. I don't care if they want to try it. The only problem with a pilot program, everybody goes out and buys this. Are they expensive? I mean, if they-
$40 from what I was
Huh?
told. $40 from what I was told was the rough cost of one of those, and they're easy peel up and place back down if you need to. If it starts to fade with the weather over time, I know that Weichert has said that they've replaced theirs after a year just because there
Oh,
was a
really?
little bit of fading when somebody put out a new one. It wasn't bad fading, but it was just compared to a brand new one that somebody else put out, that the other one you could tell was a little bit faded versus the new one.
Okay.
It seems it would lend I don't recommend it, but it does seem it would lend itself to a pilot program, even more so than somebody digging up part of their front yard and putting a raised bed in, which is a pretty significant investment. You're probably going to be replacing these on an annual basis, give or take. anyway. So I would, at least going back to Plan Commission, if that be the desire of council, I say give it a trial. So anyway.
I've got no problem with the
But
pilot.
that shouldn't pose a hardship to folks if they have to take them up after a year.
Any other further discussion? I thought I saw your hand. Maybe not. No. Tracy? No? Oh, you're pointed. Got it. Perfect. I wasn't sure if you were going like this. Hey. All right. All right. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right, motion carries. Thank you very much. On to C. That is an amendment to contract between the City of Two Rivers and Manitowoc Disposal Incorporated, extending the contract end date from March 31st, 2025 to March 31st, 2030, and modifying charges to city for services. The recommended action is a motion to approve the amendment as recommended by the Public Utilities Committee. And I see Manitowoc Disposal is in the audience tonight, so thank you very much for being here. I saw Matt walk up. Who's giving us the background? Matt?
Matt will address it with you just as he comes up. Mentioned the city since 1995, as Matt noted in his memo, has contracted with Manitowoc Disposal. I'll say they've provided exemplary service to the city throughout that period. The council over the years has authorized several contract extensions, usually tied to capital equipment replacement cycles where the company needed the assurance going forward. This has been vetted not only through staff, but the Public Works Committee. Matt can fill you in on the details.
Actually, it went through Public Utilities,
I'm
not
sorry.
Public Works.
Public
Well, actually, Public
Utilities.
Works as well. So majority of you have already heard the general background. As Greg had stated, Manitowoc Disposal is looking at a contract amendment, pushing out the end date to March of 2030. Up front, there would be some significant percent increases to what they're getting paid to do their service presently. And that again is for capital and employee retention purposes. Going back, we did compare what is being proposed and how we are presently doing business with the garbage stickers and basically pay as you throw type methodology. I did take a look at approximately 26 other communities throughout the state. And over the long haul, right now, the methodology that we are presently using, and over the course of the next several years up through 2030, we would actually still be more beneficial to renew the contract as presented, and other means and methods, i.e. automated waste by other collectors. So my recommendation would be to approve the contract extension.
Okay. Any questions for Matt while he's up there? None? Okay. Looking for a motion to approve this contract. Thank you, Jeff. Second by Tim. Council discussion. Everyone had their hand up for that one. Redonts are popular. No council discussion?
I do want to
Yes.
just say one thing, is that I think they do a great job. And I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that we are a smaller city. And if there's a problem, you can call over there and they'll rectify it right away. Another thing too is that not all communities will pick up curbside things like your mattresses or your love seat or your kitchen table, or, and all you gotta do is put some stickers on it and they'll take it away. So I think that they've just done a fabulous job, and for them, just like for everybody else, the costs continue to climb, and they have to keep their equipment up to date. And I used to work in public works engineering, and I used to talk to, I think it was Fred, all the time. Yeah, and just lovely people to work with. They solve your problems right away.
Any other council discussion? Thank you, Darla, for that. Seeing none, roll call vote. Amanda?
Bill Leclerc.
Aye.
Darla Leclerc.
Aye.
Tim Petrie.
Aye.
Bonnie Shimulis.
Aye.
Scott Steckmeister.
Aye.
Adam Mahusky.
Aye.
Jeff Delke.
Aye.
Tracy Coach.
Motion carries. Thank you for that. Thank you for being here, Manitowoc Disposal. We appreciate it. Thank you for all your hard work on that, Matt, as well, doing all the digging and all the research behind the scenes. On to D, it is a resolution increasing sticker fee for garbage collection from $2.50 to $3, with use of the new stickers to be required as of March 4th, 2024, projected to result in a 4% increase in annual revenues. Recommended action is a motion to waive reading and adopt that resolution. Greg.
As I apologize, that projected to result in a 4% increase, I had marked out of a draft agenda. That applies to E only. This is a more significant increase in revenues than that. It's about 90,000 a year, as I recall. So I apologize. That shouldn't have been on the final agenda.
Okay.
The rest of it is valid. You've got a resolution in your packets that, again, Matt Heckenleibel, our city engineer, public works director, has prepared. I trust you've read through it, but the proposed implementation schedule here is that the current $2.50 stickers would remain, would continue to be accepted by the contractor through January and February, actually through Friday, March 1st. Figured a Friday was a good time for it to end. However, we would get the new $3 stickers out to the different retail outlets, City Hall and the retail outlets, by February 1 and pull the old stock back. So, but you would be able to essentially use the old $2.50 stickers up until March 1. Starting Monday, March 4, the new green sticker would be required for use. So that's the proposed sequencing of things. So if you've got a bunch of $2.50 stickers at home, you could keep using them through the month of February up until March 1st. You could even buy more if you use them in that period. However, as of March 4, presumably the trash would be left at the curb if it has the old sticker on it. People would have the opportunity to turn in their old stickers here at City Hall for a credit toward the purchase of new stickers as well. So I think those are at least the highlights of it. Matt can fill in the details.
All right, so it looks like the magic date is March 4th. If you do have old garbage stickers after that, you can turn them in for a credit. We will issue that credit. You don't have to throw them away and lose the $2.50, but rather you'll get a credit for that here only at City Hall. That is not something that we're expecting the retailers to do, whether it's a gas station or the grocery store. We're not expecting them to do it. So if you have those, bring them back to customer service right here, and they will get you that credit towards new garbage stickers.
And based on council's action tonight, we'll get a formal communication out to those retail outlets. And we've got a utility newsletter that's on hold to be released tomorrow with a narrative on this as well.
Okay, and again, we did this in, opposed to doing the dollar increase on everyone's utility monthly bill versus doing a pay-as-you-throw type deal versus doing that dollar increase that was vetted by Personnel and Finance and the Utilities Committee.
The last increase in the sticker fee was
2009.
2009, yeah.
All right, looking for a motion.
I will make that motion.
Thank you, Tracy. Second by Darla. Council discussion. See none. Roll call. No. Yeah, roll call vote. Amanda.
Darla Leclerc,
Aye.
Tim Petrie. Aye. Bonnie Shimulinas,
Aye.
Scott Steckmeister,
Aye.
Adam Mahusky.
Aye.
Jeff Delkey.
Aye.
Tracy Coach.
Aye.
Bill Leclerc.
All right, on to E. Okay. On to E, which is an ordinance to repeal and recreate Title V, Chapter 2, Section 5, entitled Amount of Sewer Service Charges of the Municipal Code, increasing the fixed charge portions of the rate by the amounts of $1.85 for the fixed monthly charge and $1.85 for the unit charge, projected to result in a 4% increase in annual revenues. The recommended action is a motion to waive and adopt the ordinance. Greg.
Yes, it was identified at budget time in review of the budget, both by staff and then at the joint meeting of the Utilities and Finance Committees, that an increase in revenues is necessary for the wastewater utility, both in terms of increased operating costs and debt service, because as you know, things like that screw press we just talked about, we've been making a lot of capital investment there, and that carries a debt service burden. So the 4%, 4% equates to about $130,000. There has been in the recent past a preference for making that adjustment on the fixed charge portion of the bill. That is what this does. It would increase by, as presented, by $1.85 a month. The base fixed charge, monthly fixed charge, which for typical house would go from $17 to $18.85, a lift of $1.85. As proposed, the additional unit cost. So if you have a 2, 3, 4 unit, whatever, anything more than a 1 unit residential property, it's presently $11 flat fee per month for each additional unit. That would go up by a like amount, $1.85 to $12.85. I know Matt's analysis shows that if you wanted to round it up to $2 a month lift, it would be about $140,000 per year. But I believe the ordinance as presented reflects the $1.85 lift. And really, when you take into account, yes, we have fixed and variable costs, but most of our costs are fixed at the wastewater utility, whether it's debt service, maintenance of the facility. Our staffing levels aren't variable based on volume. Really, the primary truly variable costs are chemicals and energy, which is a pretty small portion of the overall budget. This also, I think, is consistent with a philosophy we've heard from the council that those fixed costs are there year round, whether our property is seasonally vacant because somebody's a snowbird or has a vacation rental. This means that those costs, this lift in costs is being borne 12 months a year by every property served by the system.
Okay, looking for a motion to approve this.
So moved.
I see Darla, then I see Bill. Any council discussion? The only thing that I always wonder is how come we bill multi-units different than we bill a single house?
Is because when they figured out how much utilities go into a single family compared to a multifamily, there's more that go into a single household because the units are usually smaller and they don't need as much. For like planning for what they're gonna use, that's why it was set up that way.
Okay. I never liked that. I just didn't. Because, I mean, there are probably some units that are smaller, but there are some units that are bigger too, and duplexes and.
We were told that.
Okay.
Would be interesting to benchmark that against other municipalities to see how they handle that, because, yeah, you can live in a single family house and have very little consumption, but to Tim's point, usually there's just one sewer pipe coming out and there's only one, the meter reader only stops once to read the meter. But I would not be surprised there are utilities out there where it's a flat per unit fee too. But it's flat per unit here, but it's cheaper, yes, for that second, third, fourth unit.
Jeff?
As you and now and Adam, it doesn't, even though I understand where you're coming from, but if you have a 800 square foot, 2-bedroom house and you're in an 800 square foot, 2-bedroom apartment, an apple's an apple. So the same fixed rate should go per unit on every single one. Doesn't matter how big or how small. A home's a home.
That's, in my view, that I agree with that. I don't feel that that's fair to a single residence versus a multi-unit residence.
But
They're
then you
paying
would
more.
have to charge for how big the house is. Someone has a 4,000 square foot house, how much can they be using compared to a 2-family that's only 1,800 square feet?
Trust me, we make it up on the other end of the taxes.
Well, I'm just going on the fact that it's a single unit charge that we're giving a discount, quote unquote, to multi-units
There's
versus a
only one
single.
pipe going on in the house.
Right, but you're still getting more in it because there's multiple families.
Build, you could, one water line going in, a 1 meter, then you're not, you get one water bill.
Yeah, I would disagree with that though too.
We applied those fees ourselves to the rent, so.
Right, see, I would disagree with that
There's
way
all
of
kinds of
doing it.
different ways it can work out.
This is certainly something if council wants to direct it back to staff or the utilities committee. I'm not suggesting, we recommend action on this tonight, but that matter could be further investigated. This is one utility where rates are controlled entirely at this level. For now, at least, we don't answer the Public Service Commission on this.
Okay, any other council discussion? We have a motion and a second, so roll call vote.
Tim Petrie.
Aye.
Bonnie Shamunis.
Aye.
Scott Steckmeister. Adam Mahusky.
No.
Jeff Delkey.
No.
Tracy Coach.
Aye.
Bill Leclerc.
I,
Darla Leclerc.
Aye.
Carries, thank you for that. On to F, it is a resolution authorizing adjustments to non-union employees' wage scales consistent with the adoption of the 2024 budget. The recommended action is a motion to waive reading and approve the resolution. Greg?
Yes, this would apply to all of our regular full-time and part-time employees outside of the police and fire bargaining units. They have existing contracts in place that stipulate the wage increases they are to get. As the budget was presented, it includes a 3% lift in the pay grades for the city's non-union employees generally. One exception, which was, I believe, recommended, now I'm sitting here, recommended by, I think, both committees.
Both, if you're
Yes.
talking about the power.
The electric
Yep,
utility.
correct,
yes.
that was both.
And in the budget as adopted by council, it provides, in taking into account market factors, that electric employees receive either a 6% increase effective January 1, if they are employees that have been hired in more recent years and do not have a post-retirement health insurance benefit, but that the increase, as indicated here in the resolution, for those with the post-retirement health insurance benefit, which there are 5 in the electric utility, would receive a 4% lift. Still above what the rest of the city workforce, general employees, is receiving, but in recognition to a limited extent that there's a very significant benefit that those employees enjoy that is not commonly found out there in the marketplace. The other exception I would note here for the record, and this is consistent with past years, that any adjustment to the city manager's annual salary would come following review and recommendation by the Personnel and Finance Committee and action by the city council. So just let that be a matter of record, if you would. So with that, given what inflation has been, we did 3% last year as well, but we also need to keep competitive. So happy to say we're able to budget for this lift and recommend approval.
Looking for a motion to approve this.
I'll make a motion.
Thank you, Tracy. Second by Scott. Council discussion.
we gotta look at high level. That probably worth.
They are worth it.
So you're going to approve this, is what you're saying? Okay.
Saying that they're talking.
Yep.
High level at.
Okay. Any other discussion? Seeing none, roll call vote. Amanda?
Bonnie Shamunis.
Aye.
Scott Steckmeister.
Aye.
Adam Mahusky.
Aye.
Jeff Delkey.
No.
Tracy Coach.
Aye.
Bill Leclerc.
Aye.
Darla Leclerc.
Aye.
Tim Petrie.
I don't know, sometimes this mic works, sometimes it doesn't. I don't know if you want to take a look at that after, no, not right now, but yeah, because it keeps going in and out for whatever reason. All right, on to G. It is a resolution appointing chief inspectors, election inspectors, and special voting deputies for the 2024-2025 election cycle. Recommended action is a motion to adopt the resolution and accept the appointments as recommended by the city clerk.
I'll quickly hand this one over to Amanda. She's the expert on elections.
As required by state statute, every odd year, we have to appoint for a 2-year term. So this would be the appointments for 2024, 2025, which ranges anywhere from, I guess, 6 elections or less, unless they're special elections. So this is the list that we have. Both parties submitted some names, and then some of our other election individuals that were interested.
Okay, looking for a motion to approve those.
I'll make the motion to approve them.
Thank you, Scott. Second by Tim. Council discussion.
A point too, because A, we're eternally grateful for all of our election workers. It's become an increasingly thankless job. You might have read or heard something about that. Amanda, there is a mandatory training for these folks in January. That'll be a prerequisite if they're going to be working the polls.
Correct. Due to our recent Badger books and our new ADA equipment, at some point during January, we will have a mandatory training that everybody will be required to attend in order to be appointed to work certain elections.
Tracy?
Yeah, so you have to go through this list in case there's any conflict of interest.
Yes, unless it's by the parties, we have no control over party appointees.
The only conflict I
Who's
can-
unaffiliated? That's just an independent, right?
Correct.
Oh,
Yep.
okay.
And I think the only thing that would be a conflict, we couldn't have somebody who's on the ballot working the election as an inspector or in
Oh,
any
okay.
capacity. But other than that, the two parties generally try to encourage people representing their party to participate.
Any further discussion? All right, see none. Roll call vote. Amanda?
Scott Steckmeister,
Aye.
Adam Mahusky,
Aye.
Jeff Delkey,
I will have to abstain.
Tracy Coach,
Aye.
Bill Leclerc,
Aye.
Darla Leclerc,
Aye.
Tim Petrie, Bonnie Shamunis.
Aye.
Just for the record, I assume you abstained because your wife is on there? Correct. Just so everybody else knows, not that you just said, hey, I don't want to vote on this.
No. Ex-wife, but still.
Okay, yep, I'm sorry, yes. I forgot the X in front of there. Something. All right, on to H, city manager's appointment to boards, committees, and commissions. Betty Bittner to Committee on Aging, term to expire May 2024, filling a vacancy by Virginia Kaufman, who did submit her resignation. Recommended action, motion to approve the appointment as recommended by the city manager.
Never recommend any more highly than Betty Bittner. She's expressed an interest in this vacancy. She's a doer. If she says she's going to get something done, it's done. And I think she'd be a great addition to the Committee on Aging.
Looking for a motion?
I will make a motion to accept this appointee.
Tracy, and then seconded by Darla. Council discussion. I guess they're looking Bill's way more often. He's chuckling at me like, hey, look at me once in a while.
Oh, it'll be great to have Betty on that committee.
Yeah, you're on that committee too, aren't you?
Yeah.
Right? As the city council rep?
It's turning out to be a really,
And you got some good reports when you come back and report on that stuff. So things are going well over at the senior center.
Good friends group out there doing supportive things. The staff is doing outstanding. We're blowing past COVID numbers and the programming has been fantastic.
Heather credit her staff. Party or the.
And the trust car has been very important and they bought another one. Mike informed us as well. So good things happening.
All the meals.
Yep.
Find out of a deficit in the senior center fund. So positive on all fronts.
Any other council discussion? Seeing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. On to I, ordinance to amend various sections of chapter 6-5 entitled Licensing of Dogs and Regulation of Animals, and amend chapter 1-2 entitled Fees in Municipal Court or in Municipal Code to provide requirements and standards for licensing animals in the city. Recommended action, motion to waive reading and adopt the ordinance. Greg.
I'm going to refer this one back to Amanda as she identified a glitch in our current ordinance that this is intended to correct.
Our current municipal code references the licensing of kennel licenses, talking with the county clerk as well as people represented by the state. The state does issue kennel licenses. The city has no authority to issue such things. We can inspect them to verify that they are following our city ordinances, but ultimately the license itself is issued from the state. They are still required to issue their animals with us and get our dog tags from us. Another part of it is in our ordinance. It states that anyone that has more than one dog may get a multiple dog license. Talking to the county clerk, it is it has to go off the best interest of the citizen. So since our fees are what they are, the best interest would be anybody that has over 3 dogs to be allowed to get the multiple dog license. This does save the citizen money that way. And then also talking with our community service officer and the police chief, we have the rule that nobody can have over 5 animals on their premise. We do have a waiver that has been used. There is some people that have this that has become an issue because they have 12 or more dogs and they're not considered a kennel. So at this time, we were recommending to have a hard stop at 5 animals on the dwelling or in the dwelling and on the parcel. If there's anyone that has more than 3, they would have to fill out a permit, and the community service officer or a designee from the police chief would go over there and inspect it to make sure that the animal is properly cared for, good hygiene in the household, as well as proper shelter at that place. So
Would that apply to state licensed kennels within the city?
no, because they are licensed, so they are, don't have to follow that because of state rules. Also, if anybody at this moment has more than the 5 animals, we would allow them to continue to have those 5 animals, as long as they do not get any more until they are under that 5 limit.
That was gonna be my question to you. Answered it. Good job.
But through attrition, they would come down.
Right.
Not mandated.
Get rid of
they
them.
Get rid of an animal.
Correct.
Yep.
Good, because I would not vote in favor of that. All right, looking for a motion to approve this.
Motion.
Thank you, Jeff. Seconded by Tracy. Council discussion.
I noticed that everything about kennels was crossed out. Are kennels eliminated in the city, or is it just put into a different section?
Kennel license cannot be issued by the city, which is why we took them out of.
So it looks like that is a state thing, not a city thing. We can't issue or deny. Therefore, they gotta go to the state to be a kennel.
Amanda, how many kennel licenses inappropriately did we have out there?
We only have 1 kennel license that is issued by the state.
Property on 310 or Hawthorne?
Yes.
Yeah.
I have about, I think it's about 35 dogs there.
Yeah, and do you know, we as a city had several, albeit that's not our jurisdiction. Yeah, okay.
Any council discussion? Seeing none, it is an ordinance. Roll call vote. Amanda?
Jeff Delkey.
Aye.
Tracy Coach. Bill Leclerc. Darla Leclerc.
Aye.
Tim Petrie.
Aye.
Bonnie Shamonis.
Aye.
Scott Steckmeister. Adam Mohusky.
All right, motion carries. Thank you for that. On to J, approval of preliminary subdivision plat for Sandy Bay Highlands, phases 3 and 4. Recommended action, motion to approve the preliminary plat based on the review and recommendation of the city engineer and plan commission. Is that Greg or Matt?
I'm gonna have Matt fill in the details, and you might have noticed there are a lot of them on this. I guess I'd just preface it by saying this is coming to the city council in your land use regulation and plating approval role. Of course, the city also owns this land and has been the developer of the subdivision. What we're not asking you tonight is to approve construction funding, although there's some in the budget for phase 3, or to bless putting it out for bid, but rather to approve the layout and the various requirements that we require of every subdivision in the city by ordinance and by statute, which Matt has laid out here in some detail. And we've typically referred to it in the plat, calls it 3 and 4. That doesn't mean that you can't build less than the entirety of phase 3, or you could build any combination of what lies ahead of us. This addresses development of the balance of the city-owned property that we used to call College Hill or College Hill. So with that, I'll let Matt walk through it.
Greg pretty much took the memo and prefaced it real well. Everything within the memo is within our city code. So I basically took the city code and addressed each and every comment appropriately. whether or not it was addressed or not addressed. Primarily the things that were not addressed ultimately is finalization of infrastructure, the sanitary sewer, storm sewer, water main, final pavement layout, things of that nature. What this does address is the lot configuration, the road alignment, and ultimately, right now, the way it's laid out will give us a total of 32 plus lots. And the plus is there's a real large parcel identified as a lot 17 that was intentionally left a little bit larger to give us some flexibility around some wetlands, pending some other land development items that will possibly occur later in spring. So that could net an additional 3 to 4 lots. So that's the short answer, short, brief review of the technical memo.
Yep, go ahead.
Is all the stormwater runoff going into the pond? Is that the idea of it? Or is that just for rain?
The stormwater runoff, including sump pumps, will be managed by biofilters, which will do a lot of pre-treatment. And there'll be one larger biofilter on the west end of the subdivision and 4 larger ones along Orchard Lane. And the overflow of that water will then go into the wetlands and be detained there temporarily. What cannot be managed by the wetlands and the biofilters will be managed in a dry detention basin on the east end of the property.
The existing pond that the city constructed for phase 1 and 2, correct me if I'm wrong, Matt, but that's pretty much maxed out as far as what it can handle. And as Matt has worked with McMahon Associates on design for these remaining phases, that's been one of the big challenges. Do we have a really high-priced item that takes up a fair amount of real estate, digging yet another wet pond? Or are the ways, I guess I'd say, to manage the water more like Mother Nature does typically with wetlands, albeit maybe some man-made structures?
So the existing wet pond that is out there was specifically designed to manage the stormwater runoff from phases 1 and 2. Basically, the development that is occurred already.
I keep asking, can't you put more stormwater in there? And consistently the answer is nope, can't do that.
What happens if you do? Just curious. Is there like a backup?
Quantity wise, we're probably fine. Quality wise, which would go against our stormwater management permit through the DNR, would then become in violation.
Yeah.
And the easy bureaucratic answer is we wouldn't get approval of our plans from DNR, which is kind of important, actually.
Just a little bit. All right, looking for a motion on this. All right, Bill, seconded by Tim. Any discussion among council? See none, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right, motion carries. You need,
I was wondering, Matt, if you might share with council, when might we see you back talking more about implementation of the next phase? What do you figure there?
If all goes right, late next month, early February, we hopefully will have construction plans designed and hopefully ready for construction early spring.
Thank you.
Okay. You have for information only handy?
Yeah. Again, just those closures noted. I'm going to just stick to, well, I guess we've got quite a few of them. As noted earlier, it's the holidays. Please check on closures. No December work session. Next regular meeting, indeed, confirmed, Wednesday, January 3rd, 6 p.m. here. Personnel and Finance this Wednesday at 5. We do need the closed session as listed on the agenda. There is a possibility, I would say, on reconvening and open that the council may take action on the matter to be discussed in closed. We have provided for such on the agenda.
Okay, it looks like we can have some action then. On to 13, closed session. The city council reserves the right to enter into closed session per Wisconsin statutes 19.851E when deliberating or negotiating the purchasing of public properties, the investment of public funds, or conducting other specified public business whenever competitive or bargaining reason require a closed session. Tonight, we will discuss matters pertaining to changes for water and sewer connections for the Bandabro Arboretum at 3800 Lincoln Avenue. As stated, there is a good chance that we will reconvene into open session and take a vote on such this matter. We do need a motion to go into closed session. Thank you, Tim, seconded by Scott. Council discussion. See none, this is a roll call vote. Amanda.
Bill Leclerc. Oh, he's not here. Darla Leclerc.
Aye.
Tim Petrie. Aye. Bonnie Shimalunas. Aye. Scott Steckmeister.
Aye.
Adam Husky.
Aye.
Jeff Delkey. Aye. Tracy Coach.
All right, motion carries, and then we will go into closed session. We'll take about a 2-minute break.